Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 8 of Dirtmasters Unplugged, the fusion tuning series between Special Projects and Dirtmasters. And for those of you guys who follow my Dirtmasters review series, you'll know that I'm not a fan of rear-wheel drive rally cars, because they just don't get the power down and you spend so much time wrestling with the car that you end up with a rubbish lap time. However, this car has turned me around on that. Now, my opinions of other rear-wheel drive rally cars are still the same, but this car has actually turned me around not only on the capabilities, really, of rear-wheel drive rally cars, but also of Alpine in general. Because I've never been an Alpine fan. I don't dislike them, I just didn't really care either way. However, this car has really turned me around on what Alpine cars are capable of. Now, of course, in real life there were Alpine rally cars, but on the game we don't have any official Alpine rally machines. So, we've taken the premium model A110 1600S, which costs quite a lot at 100 grand, and we've turned it into a 475 pp classic style rallying machine, and I have to say it's possibly the best handling car of this series so far. So, as always, I'll show you what I've done to get the visual look of the car, then we'll go over to the garage for the mechanical setup, and finally out to the track to see how it drives. Now, I've gone for a relatively simple visual setup for this one. You do have a couple of other bodywork options to go for. You've got the covered headlights, remove them completely, or the classic style lights. I've chosen to just keep the classic ones because they look the most authentic. The flat floor on this car isn't that visible, but of course it does give you more PP and more downforce, so I have fitted that. For the rear wing, of course, I've gone for the custom ducktail wing. How can you not go for that? For the rims, of course, I have the dirt tyres, so they fit these steel wheels instead. I have not fitted any additional meters on this particular model. As far as the paint, obviously it's down to personal preference because this isn't really a replica, but I've chosen to go for French Racing Blue for obvious reasons, and I believe that comes from the Lotus Europa, if I remember correctly. But as I said, it's purely down to personal preference, and there are plenty of different colours that this car looks great in. So that's actually it for the visual setup of this car, so a relatively simple overall setup. So now let's go over to the garage for the mechanical side of things. So the power of this car is significantly lower than many of my other rally car builds, but also the weight is significantly lower, which more than makes up for it. Plus, with a rear-wheel drive rally car, I didn't want too much power to be going through the rear wheels and creating, as I said at the start of the episode, so much wheel spin that you end up being slower anyway. So obviously we've got dirt tyres. For suspension, we've got the ride height as high as possible. The brake balance I've changed to 6 to 4. Springs, we've got 250 front and rear. Dampers and anti-roll on 4. Camber on 2. Neutral toe, as always. For the gearbox, we've got an auto setting of 130. Then we've rounded off the individual gears to 3650, 2500, 1800, 1400 and 1130, with a final drive of 3. For the diff, we've got initial torque, acceleration and braking all on 30. For the power, I believe I did give this one an oil change. We've gone for the Stage 3 engine tune, sports computer, race exhaust and sports cat. And the reason I've done all of those but then restricted it so much, because of course I could have just not done that and had more power in that PP range, is because, as I've said before, if you do fit these parts and then lower the power limiter, you do still have a higher red line, which makes it more authentic to sound and to drive, really, as a classic style rally car. The exhaust obviously gives you the classic looking exhaust, so that's why I've fitted that. And of course we've reduced the power, as you can see, down to 77.3%. Rear downforce we've got as high as possible. You want the full weight loss package, and then we've got an 85 kilo ballast, which we've put all the way to the front. So, relatively simple setup for the car overall, but now let's take it out to the track to see how it performs. Now, as I alluded to at the start of the video, this is one of the best of this series of tunes that I've done so far. The handling is shockingly good, actually. I was expecting it to be honest, a bad handling car. I expected it to be far too light on the front end. I expected it to be just wheel spinning constantly, because at the end of the day it's a sports car. So I don't have much confidence in sports cars as rallying machines. Some of them can pull it off, but most of them don't. This car, however, really surprised me. It's very, very good. And due to its very modest power output and relatively low PP, it's actually one of the most beginner-friendly rally cars that I've built so far. It's very easy to drive. The handling is seriously fantastic as a rallying machine. It's so easy to drive, and despite having only 180 horsepower, it shifts. It is by no means a slow rally car, especially for the 475 pp category. And it also handles really well on the tarmac. Now, I haven't tested it on a snow track, but I think based on the rear-wheel drive layout, it will probably be very good, to be honest, on a snow track. So, of this series, this is one of the more expensive cars to build, being 100 grand before you've even done any upgrades. But I would say it is worth it. Now, I would obviously recommend it mainly for people who love rallying. That's fairly obvious. But if you do plan on fitting this tune to your Alpine, I'd love feedback on how competitive you find it, because obviously I haven't used it in any actual rallying events. But overall, I think anyone who does decide to use this tune will have a lot of fun with it. I know I have, and continue to do so. So that's it overall for this build. I hope those of you guys who do decide to use it enjoy it and find it competitive, and I'll see you guys next time. So as always, thanks for watching.